Welcome to Lgchlpsn Live. I will be doing this show by myself. T-Ball is busy, so it will just be me. But we have a loaded show today. We'll be going over a lot of different items. We have news from the bog, games of the week. We'll be talking about the London Knights, Sarnia Sting, CHL Dev game. And also we have a new segment on the show. It's called the Owner's Corner. We will have the Barry's Colts owner, Siege87, and Prince of Zeus. So this will be a great show to watch, and I hope you enjoy. To start it off, we did get news from the Bog earlier this week. He was talking about that the season 2 playoffs will be only 8 teams. The rules have yet to been put out, but he will be putting those out shortly, hopefully within the next couple days, hopefully. So we'll see what happens with that. But with the impact of that, there was a lot of teams that were hoping to just skate on by and get into the playoffs that are no longer going to be able to do that. And it really cracks down on the 8th spot. So looking at the standings right now, we have Ottawa 67s in first, Hamilton in second, London in third, the Colts in fourth, the North Bay Battalion in fifth, the Oshawa Generals in sixth, Sarnia Sting in seventh, and the Kingston Frontenacs in eighth. To put the Forks in Windsor and the Peterborough Pete is really good because they will not be able to make playoffs. Looking at the standings right now, I do not believe that the Petes are mathematically ineligible for the playoffs right now. I think they're still in it, but I believe all Kingston has to do is win one game to put the Petes out, or anybody really. The Frontenacs and Rangers, all they have to do is win one game to put them out. So they're done. But knowing the Petersburg Petes, I'm sure that they're going to keep just running along and getting what they need to do to get some reputation. They have a reputation around the league that they do not give up. But looking at the second to eighth, it's only a 5-game gap between second and eighth. So if the second place team, Hamilton or the London Knights, goes and chokes, they could easily be out of the playoffs. So it's a really tight race from second to eighth, and it's really interesting to keep out for because anything can happen. Crazy things can happen. The Bulldogs or London could be the Boston Red Sox of LGCHL and just choking these last 2 weeks. So with the eighth, with the Bog putting the limit on 8 teams, it really puts a precedence on these next 2 weeks, and it will be very interesting to watch. Moving on, the games of the week for me for the previous week was that Ottawa 67s and London Knights game. It was very, very interesting. It was very interesting to watch. I watched it on Twitch. So for anybody who could not watch that game, it was really good. It ended 8-3, but the score was not evident of how that game truly went. It was truly a close game. If you take away London Knights penalties, the 2 EA goals that they got, and the 2 garbage goals, it's really a 1-goal game at that point. They played them really tough. And honestly, the London Knights got some respect out of me through that game. So they're a team to continue to watch. They do coming up on their schedule, getting into the game that I'm watching for the week coming up is definitely the London Knights versus my team, the Hamilton Bulldogs. They play on Tuesday at 6:30 p.m., 9:30 Eastern time. So if you are not playing in a game, or you just want to watch a game, that is the game to watch in the CHL. 2 versus 3. They're always talking shit in the chat box. It's always an argument in the chat box, and it's really something that everybody should watch if you get a chance. Another game that I want to watch, really, I want to watch the whole week, which moves me into my next segment in a way, is the Sarnia Sting. The Sarnia Sting, I've talked to a lot of people around the league about the Sarnia Sting, and they still have doubters out there. They still have people out there that think they're not for real, that they got lucky this week. So I'm very interested to see Sarnia versus Owen 67s. They play Tuesday at 6:30 as well. They played London on Thursday, 5:30, which is 8:30 Eastern time. They have a tough week coming up. They play Barry to start the week off, and well, not to start it off, but they play Sunday at 9:30. They play Kingston on Monday at 8:30. Which is a good game because Kingston is holding on to that 8th spot. So it's really a grind for Kingston the rest of the week. They lost K McDonald to the Marlies for the AHL. And I do not, if McDonald is right on the chat box, I do not think Kingston has enough salary to bring him back down to the CHL when it comes to it. So just looking at Sarnia, just talking about Sarnia for a minute, I'm gonna spend some time on Sarnia. They're 7th place right now. They're 28-22-4. They're on a 6-game win streak, 60 points. They're 7th place right now, but they're only 2 games in the playoffs, or they're only 2 points in the playoffs. So Kitchener is in 9th place right now, sitting at 58 points. Sarnia needs to continue their grind, or just like everybody else, they might fall down to, 9th, 10th, 11th. It's all real tight up in there. But looking at Sarnia, they had a really, really good week. The trades really paid off for them. Looking at a player to get the player, Craven, A27, the right defenseman for the Sarnia Sting. They got over in a trade from London Knights. He went 3-0 this week, 2 assists in the first game, 1 assist in the second game, and 1 assist in the third game against Hamilton. They played really well. He had plus-minus of +7 this week. So that if he continues that climb, that was a really, really, really good trade for Sarnia. Another trade that they made that's really paying off for them is their goalie, Sick in the Head, 17. Right now he's posting up at 88.9 save percentage and a 1.7 goals against average in 6 games. He allowed 1 goal against the Peaks, 1 goal against the Storm, 1 goal against Hamilton. His worst game came against North Bay when he allowed 3 goals on 17 shots. So he's really been on fire, and that's something that you need. Goalies come out of precedence in this league. And Sick in the Head 17 has given the Sarnia Sting an option at goalie, especially since one of Sarnia Sting's goalies got removed from the CHL. So, Sick in the Head has really stepped up for that team when, you should be questioning. Actually, this is a big loss. I'm just going to the news right now. This is a big loss to Sarnia. This might be breaking news to some. I'm not sure if anybody's tracking, but Godmer, which they got in a trade from the 67s, has also been removed from the Lgchl. I'm not too sure on why, but that's another team that hurts. That hurts. Actually, no, I take that back. Another change to that is he won his appeal, so that was a quick appeal. So he's back in the league. But that was another good trade, talking about Godmer. That was another good trade for Sarnia. To get to Godmer's profile real quick, I guess they still have to call him up again from his appeal getting 1 from the league. But they've had all their trades have been really working out for them. Everything's been rolling on all cylinders for Sarnia Sting. Um, I'm kind of like the other people in the league. I'm curious to see if they can keep it going for this week, or if that first week was just um, just luck that was given to them. I'm not sure. So I'm very interested in this week coming up. They played really sound last week, so it's something to be proud of. If you play for Sarnia, and if it was Galley or Stamkos or all them boys that are leading Sarnia, I would be really, really proud of myself for the trades that I made last week. So it's something that the league should look out for. Sarnia is definitely a team to keep your radar on, because they're playing really well. The team I want to talk about, I slammed them pretty hard last week on my This Week Live. I slammed them pretty hard, boys, and it was uh, the London Knights. I slammed them last week, and they've made me so proud. The week that just passed, week 6, they made me proud. They came up, they showed me some depth. Looking at their schedule for week 6, they started the week out on a tear, going 5-0 to start the week off, and then fell off after the Ottawa game. But they opened their week up against Oshawa, and they beat them 7-0. Turn around and beat the Ice Dogs 6-2. Beat Sarnia, which is a team that's hot on the radar right now. They beat them 3-2. They beat Kitchener 4-3. Beat Flint 3-2. We've already talked about the Ottawa game. Even though it looked like a blowout on paper, it wasn't. Um, they beat the Erie Otters, or they lost to Erie Otters 4-3 in a tight one, although they outplayed them in that game. They beat the Owen Sound Attack 3-2, and then lost to the North Bay Battalion 5-0. One knock that I had on London was depth issues. I thought past that first line that they really didn't have the depth needed to go into the playoffs. But they really showed me something in week 6. They started their week 6 out with their second line, the Poner, Freddie's Gaming 7, and Heath 19, and they played extremely well. And you got to think in the playoffs when you're going through a series, a 7-game series that I'm expecting that it probably will be. That's a line that you can trust, is the Poner, Freddie's Game, and Heath. That line is definitely led by the Poner at center. He had an amazing week and really put his fly down into that second line. Of course, the first line for London is always stellar. Braden, Tater, and Horty. They did lose to Ottawa, and they got outshot 28-10. Time on attack was 8:25 for Ottawa to 5:34 for London. But watching that game on Twitch, it was closer than what it appears on paper. So that was their only loss for the week, was against Ottawa, but they won their previous 2 against Flint and Kitchener. But the one line that remains a question mark for the London Knights that they need to get up to speed is Mikey D's line, the GM for the London Knights. He had a horrible week. Again, had a horrible week. He had 2 goals, 2 assists this week, and a -6. So plus minus. So he's really got to pull around his season and get the season going again for that line. That line is not doing the London Knights justice at all. And they need him. They need him down there in London to pull their season around, because they're going to need them. With that being said, If you analyze all the teams in the CHL, London Knights have exceptional goaltending. I feel like in the league they have the best 1-2 punch at goalie in the league that will keep them in most to any game. And Guardian and Freddie Anderson, they play exceptional every time they step out on the ice. You look at Guardian, we'll look at the starter, the Guardian first. He's 15-9-1 right now at goalie. He did lose the last two, 4-3 and 0-5, but before that, 3-2, 2-3, 7-0, and that was his week for this week. He's playing exceptional. He really gives the skaters something to trust when he's out on the ice, and that's something to be proud of. If I was Tater 316 and Monkey D in Dart football. But then when you know he's not playing or his availability is shot or whatever happens for Guardian, then they have a goalie and Freddie Anderson come in that was just called up from the TC not too long ago. He's having an elite season and a hot streak only because of the blemish against Ottawa when he lost 3-8. He stopped 20 shots on 28 or 20. He saved 20 on 28 shots. He's 5-1 on the year with an 82.3 save percentage and a 2.8 goals against average. And before that Ottawa game, he was slaying it. Honestly, I mean, he had a kind of bad game against Kitchener on paper, 7 saves on 10 shots. But he's someone also that that Tater could put in, and it will be okay. They don't get scared. Like, oh, we got to play flawless. Their goaltending, I feel, in London allows them to really play with confidence, play a little careless at times in the game because they can trust their goalies to make a save and keep them in the game. I know against Ottawa, Freddie kept them in the game for a while. Guardian keeps them in the game continuously. And that's something that I feel like the London Knights have that nobody else in the league has, is goalie depth. All year, if you really look at London, they've had goalie depth this whole year. And they just, I mean, it's a pipeline down there. So, and then if you look at second place with Hamilton, they don't have that luxury. I don't feel like, if I can be unbiased and just be my media self, I don't think they have that luxury in Hamilton. Madden's 26 is having a fantastic year. A phenomenal goalie for the Hamilton Bulldogs, but outside of that, you drop off when that next goalie comes in. That's no knock on Travis. I like Travis as a goalie, but they do lose skill when Madden's does not play in the game. So that's something to really look out for when it gets into the playoffs, because you're going to have to steal one against London in order to beat them, because I don't think you'll be able to beat them if you don't steal one against their first line. So London will be tough series. But moving on, I want to talk about the Hamilton Bulldogs a little bit too. My team, they're 34-19-1. They're on a 3-game losing streak, but they're second in the standings. We had a lot of defensive call-ups, slash bans. Hopefully, we can. Madden's Salt Sniper and Kitty King are working around the clock to fix that, to make the lines. They're doing an exceptional job at doing that. And the defensemen that they do have, me, myself included, we get more consistent. We have to make their jobs easy, and that includes self. I had a horrible game against Sarnia. I got outplayed. I gave up way too much center of the ice. I was committing too hard to a person on the outside, and me, myself, and my other defensemen, we have to make their job easier and not let them miss greens or miss crooks. We have to do our job. And I know I did not against Sarnia. I had a -4, no points. That is not something that I want to have happen. So that can't happen. Um, but moving on down the list, the player spotlights for the previous week. I've already hit on him in a little bit. It's sick in the head, 17 for the Sarnia Sting. He played exceptional against Hamilton. I know that for a fact. He keeps them in a lot of games. That's why I'm going back to London. He keeps them in a ton of games, which allows Sarnia to win and execute their defense and their forwards that they traded for. And Sick in the Head is playing amazing right now. Another player I want to hit on, and this is not biased, but another player spotlight that I have is Madden's 26, goalie for the Hamilton Bulldogs and owner. He had a phenomenal week, and this is what I'm talking about right here. Getting back to Hamilton, since I am on Madden's, let's talk about it. This week, Madden's went 4-0 and 4-0-1. He had an 86.2 save percentage and a 1.8 goals against average. Played phenomenal. Honestly, he probably gets my nod at Player of the Week for goalies. It either has to go to him or Sick in the Head. They're really close together this week. So Madden's 26 play phenomenal. But then you go to their other goalie, Travis Ewald. Page is loading. But they get this drop off. Madden puts in a Player of the Week performance, and then you go to Travis, and this week he went 1-3, 72.7 save percent, and a 5.3 goals against average. So that's a huge drop off in statistical numbers. But Madden's played exceptional this week. So keep an eye on that to keep happening, because he's an owner today in the Friday Night Puck, so I'm sure he'll be able to display his skills at goalie there. But he played great for the Hamilton Bulldogs, and I know me as a defenseman, I definitely trust him when he's in net. So that's just, you just got to look at that and just know, that he's going to have your back in net. He's going to backstop you to a win if need be. My Mystic Mac call out corner, what I call it. I'm going to call out Mikey D for the London Knights. Two goals, 2 assists, 4 points on 3 games this week. Went 1-2. London Knights need him in order to secure a playoff spot, because a playoff spot in 3rd place is not guaranteed. They're only 3.5 or 4.5 on 9th place. So we're going to need a bigger output from him in order to, for London Knights to be respected around the league, and really for people to start buying into what they're selling. So Mikey D is one that I'm going to just keep harping on until he gets it right, because that line needs him so bad right now. Another person that I want to mention is just Oshawa General's goalies in general. They have not played well at all. They keep putting the Generals in a bad spot. So they just really need to trade for a goalie or get a goalie, because if not, I don't even think Oshawa will be competitive in the playoffs if they make the playoffs. They're only 3 game or two games up. 2 games up on 9th place. So I mean, it's really tough. They need to step it up. But my honorable mention, I'm going to mention him just because I've been kind of tough on him the past couple weeks, and I think he deserves at least a little something, is my Watery Dolphin 77. the AGM for the Niagara Ice Dogs. He went 3-0 this week, and had 6 assists, 2 goals. He was setting his team up. I know I commentated his game against the Petes, and he had 3 points in that one. He was all over the ice. He was getting back defensively. He was doing a good forecheck. He was interrupting passes out of the zone. He played really well in that game. And if you don't know, Watery Dolphin 77 is Mr. Not So Awesome 07. He really needs to change his name because that is a horrible, horrible PSN. Watery Dolphin. So, he played great this week. If he can continue that, Niagara Ice Dogs right now, they're 2 points out of 8th. And so it's a grind for them right now. It's a grind in order to get into playoffs ever since, Rob has made that call to make 8 teams in the playoffs, which I think is great because I don't feel like Windsor has done enough to make the playoffs this year. It's retarded to have them in there. So I think it's a good move on his part to make it 8 teams and to make it more competitive because now you got the Kitchener Rangers who are sitting in 9th, Niagara sitting in 10th with 57 points, Erie sitting in 11th with 56 points. They're stressing out right now to get that 8th spot. So my call-up danger for the league right now is Guardian for the London Knights. I feel like he's a game away from getting called up. His team right now, I looked into this last night, his team right now on the AHL, the Providence Bruins, they're in 7th right now, and they're struggling in net. So I wonder if, they're thinking of maybe calling Guardian up to the AHL to see what's popping with Guardian, giving him hot net. And helping them out to get that playoff spot in the AHL. So that's my call-up danger. Guardian, and he's playing phenomenal, always has. That's my one guy that really stood out to me this week to really get called up to the AHL, and I think that will really knock the Knights back a little bit because, it'll take talent away from the goaltenders. Moving on, I messaged each owner. I'm big on training camp. I like TC players, definitely the TC players who do it right. So I hit on, I asked each owner, I did get some responses back, but I asked each owner to give me a name in their TC that has a chance to make the roster if they just, just keep active, keep playing drop-ins with the team, and just keep grinding. So I asked London Knights if they can give me a player on their TC that they would like me to talk about, to include a short excerpt on that player on why he's on your radar and what makes him an intriguing player to be in position to maybe make the roster. He never responded, so it is what it is. Gotta be Rufus, never responded. Dirty Deeds, never responded. I asked Little Bev. He gave a shout out to Single G6, and he said that he had some issues with being able to play, but what comes down to it is as a club you can put him in anywhere, and he is able to change his play style to adapt to the other players. So if Single can just get active and being able to play, I'm sure that Bev can make something happen for him. I asked Rambo from the Oshawa Generals to give me a player. He told me Vet 1 Marine 5 July 10. And he had a good paragraph about this player. I played with Marine in a drop-in, and he played exceptional in that drop-in. So I can attest to what he's saying. But he said that he acquired him about 2 weeks ago from Kitchener. He was a defenseman who didn't really get a shot. He said when we first played with him, he was rough around the edges but had the core skills to succeed. We worked with him and refined his game, and now he plays D really well. He is always available, which is awesome, and his personality is really good. the guys get along with him, and he practiced with us more than some roster players. He ECU'd in the AHL last night, and I believe he went 2-0 up there. In Oshawa, everyone gets a shot, and he's showing us he deserves one. So keep a lookout for Vet Marine to get a shot maybe this week for Oshawa at defense. I know if I was Oshawa, I would put him in to see if that would help my goalie situation out a little bit. I asked Madden's 26 from the Hamilton Bulldogs. This guy is a roster player now, but at the time he was in TC, he said MV8 61. He made the roster because we did lose 2 D-man, and he said, when I see him play, he seemed decent, but I wish I could see more. I don't think TC players realize how much they are being noticed. They should stick around more often. So that goes out to TC players. Make sure you're playing drop-ins with your squad because they do need you. I know even I played for Rockford, and the other night I had a chance to play. So they're always looking for people. I asked Prince of Zeus. Prince of Zeus will actually be on later on the show after CJ87. So I'm just gonna wait for him. I'm not gonna get into his answer. I'll let him get into his answer online, live here on the This Week live show. So I won't go into what he said. I asked Hallowell too. Hallowell said CDN Fire fan, and that he was a dynamic player for Owen Sound that used to be on the roster. He put up great points when he played full time. So my question for Hallowell is, why did he get called down? But that's what Hallowell said. I asked Obey the Sandman the same question, and he said Roly Polioli, and he's at your squad games, and he's filled in multiple times in regular season games. He will average around 2 to 3 points a game, knows how to score and pass smart. He plays wherever he is needed and is just waiting for the next forward spot to open up. I'm sure everyone will know his name in weeks to come. So they would have to hurry up because there's only 2 weeks left in the season. So maybe we'll know his name before 2 weeks. I asked Lgchlpsn, the Keystone Frontenac's owner. He gave me replaceables and said he is a solid center who played 2 games for me as ECU yesterday and was 42 and 18 on the dot and 6 assists. And that he will be called up to the Kingston Frontenac's team very soon. So keep a lookout for replaceables. Evidently, he's really good on the draw. Moving on, I asked Apparition for the Niagara Ice Dogs, and he said King Jersh, and that he would be one I would point out. He's a skilled winger who is willing to fill in whenever he is asked to do so, and is always willing to put the team before himself. So that's the shout out for the Ice Dogs. I asked Nag55 the same question. He said he was talking to his GMs, and he said, to tell you the truth, I don't have any TC players that are on my radar. I have a lot of inactives. There are guys that I like that are all on all. Melee Drought is really good, but he keeps getting called up. He's really good on the left side and knows when to shoot or pass. So to summarize that segment there, if you're a TC player and you're watching, you just have to give your team an option to see you play in drop-ins, club games, or whatever, and maybe you can get up on their radar. I noticed a trend with each team. Each team was always saying how he's always there for the team. He puts the team before himself. He's skilled. He's adaptable to any situation in the team. So if you're a TC player, that tells you, and it's the same thing I told you last night, or last week in the This Week live show. In order to make these rosters, you have to put the team before yourself. You know what I mean? You can't just blast the team. You can't blast the management in the chat box. You have to be there for them. When they say they need a left wing, be like, I can do it. Just fill in when you need to fill in. Don't be annoying. Don't be annoying on the chat. Just be there for your team, and you'll get this shout out. So that's the shout out. I did forget one, and that's because he's number one on my inbox right now. But it's the Sarnia Sting, and I believe he's on their main roster now, and deservingly so. I played with him a couple times as well, and I really like him. But for the Sarnia Sting, he gave his shout out to the Killer J. Despite the fact that we recently picked up and already had several good TC players, he played his first 2 games of the season last week as an ECU for Owen Sound, being named on the Who's Hot and team MVP list. Then we acquired him over the weekend, and he's happy that that they did. And then looking into Killer J, he's on fire right now. Against the Pete's, he had 3 goals, 2 assists, 5 points, plus 5. Hamilton, he had plus 4 points. Against Owens, or against the Battalion, he had no points, but he had plus 4 on 4 shots. So that was his only blemish on his profile, really, where he didn't show up on the scoreboard. But every other game that he's played in against London, had 1 goal, 2 assists, 3 points. He's showing up for his team, and that and to point towards the TC players, that's what you got to look out for. This guy got his chance, he made the most of it, and now he's playing for a very solid Sarnia Sting team. So if you're a TC player, just keep grinding. Don't get an attitude. Don't get pissy. Don't get annoying. Your time will come. I know we only got 2 weeks left, and it's cutting close, but your time will come. Believe that. Just be willing for your team. Getting on to viewer or the owner's corner, I'm about to call CJ87 here, get her on the line. I found that out that she's actually a girl. She politely sent me a message saying I was wrong in my power rankings, calling her a guy, so I apologize. But I'm about to add her to the call. Hopefully she's watching or she's around, and she can answer this. We're going to do a quick interview with her. So the invitation has been sent to Siege. Hopefully she responds. If not, we do have Prince of Zeus also standing by to do an interview as well. I'm probably going to do this on each PSN this week, because I like getting people on the show and interviewing them, getting their perspective on everything going on. I kind of wanted to wrap the show up before 5 because of the Friday night puck draft that's going on. But while she answers, I want to see, moving on until she answers. Hopefully she answers. I'm going to give her like 5 minutes to see if she answers. If not, we'll move on to Prince of Zeus. Actually, here she is right here. Hey, Siege, how are you? Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. How are you?
Nice. Doing pretty good. It's a pleasure having you on the show. I appreciate you taking your time out and coming on.
Yeah, not a problem at all.
So I guess my first question will go to, for people who don't know CJ87, tell our viewers a little bit about yourself.
Sure. I'm the owner of the Barrie Colts. I actually started as the GM, and then I guess I took over at the beginning of week 3 as owner. And I'm just kind of a hockey fanatic. That's why I play NHL 16, and I follow the game pretty religiously. So
nice. So the reason why I wanted to get you on the show, because the Barrie Colts are right there in 4th place. They're 3 back. They're 3 points back from 3rd place, 4 points back from 2nd, but nobody talks about Barrie.
Yeah. We kind of fly under the radar, which I'm totally fine with. I like surprising people. We had a pretty rough week this week, but I mean, prior to that, we've been going 6-3 pretty consistently.
Yes, and I noticed that, and everybody talks about the Bulldogs, everybody talks about the Knights, and it was just really important for me to talk to you, Colts owner. Yeah. So talking about this week, did you struggle this week? Why did you struggle?
I honestly am not sure. I mean, I I think all of the games that we lost by 1. A lot of them were just kind of heartbreaks right at the end. No, there were a couple of games that we lost. They got the game-winning goal with like seconds or a minute to go in the third. And we had no puck luck, honestly. Like we couldn't bury. The other team got kind of fluky goals that went in. But every once in a while, you're going to have those kinds of weeks. I'm happy that it happened now instead of in the playoffs. We just need to kind of bounce back and not let it get us flustered.
Yes, that's a great point. I'm looking at your week 7 right now. You open up the week against Hamilton and a surging team in the Sarnia Sting.
Yeah.
How do you feel about this week coming up, especially a big week with there are only 8 teams going to be in the playoffs? Are you feeling the pressure at all to have a week with so many good teams on your schedule?
I wouldn't say that I'm feeling the pressure. I'm kind of seeing that we have the opportunity to yet again prove ourselves. I looked at the schedule and immediately told my AGM as we were like getting ready to set the lines, like this is basically our make it or break it week. We're playing, I think, all of the top 8 teams. And it's like, well, this is our time to prove ourselves. If we think that we're underrated, we think that we deserve to be in the playoffs, then this is our time to shine and just let everyone know. Like, this is our statement week, essentially.
Yep, and I do agree. This is a put up or shut up for the Barrie Colts. But for the viewers who don't have league gaming put up right now for the Barrie Colts, they do play Hamilton, Sarnia on Sunday. That's their Sunday games. They then turn to the Battalion, London Knights, Oshawa Generals, Ice Dogs, the 67s, Owen Sound, and then Kingston to end the week. So it's going to be a very, very tough week for the Barrie Colts coming up. But to get to the question I asked to you on the inbox, but since you're coming on, I didn't want to say it on air without you. Give me a TC player that is just impressing you right now that could help Barrie get over this and get into the playoffs.
I think the biggest one is Hunter 60, and it kind of echoes the things that you were saying earlier about how he basically just does what the team needs. He signed up as a winger. He wants to play wing. But his first game with us, then he got ECU'd and he played lefty. We asked for a left defenseman. He was like, I can play. He went out and he proved himself. He's played 2 more games as a defenseman. And I even reached out to him and I was like, hey, like, I know that you're signed up as a winger. How do you feel about playing defense? Like, do you enjoy it? Like, is this a thing that you want to do? And he was like, I don't care. I just want to play. I want to help the team. So that really stood out to me. And I think that it's very likely that he's going to find himself on our roster as we just recently got a defenseman called up. So we're looking to fill that spot.
Nice. So that goes back to what I was saying earlier. You hear it first here from an owner. It's really big to step in for your team when they need you. And I'm sure he has never been on the chat box and blew you and your GM and your captain up on a team chat talking about how you don't know how to manage a team. And
absolutely,
they're better than your whole squad.
Yeah.
So good for him. Since you're on the show and it's easy to talk about it, give me also a player on your main roster who has really stepped up and helped Barrie Colts, to sit firm in 4th place.
Man, I mean, there's so many of them, honestly. Bottleman is a recent call-up. I think this was his first week on the main roster. He had previously gone, I think, 6 or 7 away games in a row winning. He hadn't lost a game. I think he might have lost one this week because we were having kind of a tough time. He's been absolutely clutch. His entire line, he's a winger with Big Freeze. Big Freeze has just come in clutch for us a ton. He's a natural winger. I told him we needed a center. He happily stepped up and was putting in time, working on his draws, and really making an effort to just help us win. So that's huge. And then my last one would be Shirk, who has been quietly putting together a very solid season. He signed up as a right D. We asked him to move over to the left side because we needed it. And then he proceeded to go 8-0-1 in a 3-week period, which is just huge. So those 3 guys for sure.
Nice. So since Barrie Colts flies so far under the radar, nobody really knows who Barrie Colts are until they play you guys. Y'all stay out of the chat box. Y'all never chirp. Y'all are just doing your business. So give the viewers, that are listening something about Barrie Colts that they should know coming into a game against the Colts.
We're definitely kind of a grindy team. We're going to fight for every puck. I think that we've probably got some of the strongest defense, and our starting goalie is probably one of the most underrated goalies in all of LG. The fact that he's still in the C blows my mind, which is why I tossed the AGM on him. He's also a good friend. So I think that we just have a really strong backbone of defense and goaltending. And then we've got a bunch of guys that, as they've developed chemistry, can really put the puck in the net. So we're solid throughout, but we're gonna fight till the very end in every game.
Nice. I do see that. I do see that with Braves. For the people to get into his stats, he is posting up a 78.6 save percentage and a 3.6 goals against average for the Barrie Colts. So he has been solid. Maybe not allow as much goals.
Yeah, he's honestly like in the beginning of the season we had one goalie, so he was taking all 6 of our toughest teams every week. He was not getting any respite, and there were some games that like maybe he got laid out by defense wasn't helping him out. But I think lately he's been doing very well. I know last week I think that he put up like a couple of 90+% games. But yeah.
So I do have 10 people watching, and I just want to open it up to them. Does anybody who's watching have a question for CJ87? In the meantime, while you get those questions, I guess I'll continue the questions until those start flowing in, if they flow in. But CJ87, I appreciate you not blowing my power rankings up, talking about how you are a female and not a guy. I appreciate that private message because I was not tracking that at all. But one guy that I am interested in on your roster, I believe he actually came from Hamilton, Jets 2016. Can you tell me a little bit about Jets?
Yeah,
and his impact on Barrie.
I love Jets. He does a lot of things behind the scene. I very carefully considered giving him the AGM position, but he's a true leader. I don't know. He basically does anything that I ask. He helps out and almost serves as like a quasi like manager when I'm not around or available. We tried him out at center for a week and it wasn't really working. We've been having kind of a revolving door at that third center position. But I think that he's stepped up on the left wing. We're still trying to figure out a line that he can consistently play with. I think that we might have found it for going into this next week. Only time will tell. But he's also the brother of our GM, got to be Rufus. So I'm hoping to get the two of them playing a little bit more because they have some pretty good chemistry.
Nice. That's interesting to know about Jets. I didn't really know him. I came to Hamilton after I believe he got traded. So
I think so, yeah.
But looking at what is the game of the week? Do you feel like for? I know y'all are playing all the top teams in week 7. Everybody who's top 8, with the exception of Niagara, but they're basically in 8th place. So what game sticks out for you that y'all feel like is a must win for Barrie?
I'm not going to say it's a must-win, but it's a statement game. I'm absolutely tired of not scoring on Ottawa. Like, it's got to change. I've got to figure out a line that works against them. I know that not very many teams in this league have figured that out, but I'm hoping to put the puzzle pieces together. But other than that, I mean, I would like to come out big Sunday first game, Hamilton. Like, I want to – that's a must-win. I don't know if you're going to be playing in it, but I hope to see you out there, and I hope you lose, unfortunately, but it's got to be done.
Another game that sticks out to me on Barrie Colt's schedule again is the London Knights. What would put the Barrie Colts over the London Knights in that Monday game at 6:30?
It's hard to tell because we haven't really had many issues with London. But I don't know that we've gotten their full top line ever. Part of the bonus of kind of flying under the radar. They're honestly an unknown. If they put that top line against us, I've watched gameplay video of when they were playing against other teams. If we can get like our top defensive pairing out there with either Braves or our new backup goalie, I really don't think that their top offensive line is going to be an issue. It's just going to be a matter of making sure that our forwards are able to support the defense and the goalie and put up enough goals to get us the win.
Nice. So, see, I'm trying to force a little chirp from you. Any Londonites are listening.
100% respect London. I've told Tater that. I love what they're doing over there. They've got some great management. It's kind of weird that, you know, we're battling it out, but it's going to be hard to get a chirp out of me.
You ruined it. I did get a chirp out of you, and you ruined it. You came back with a freaking a compliment. Man, okay, well. So Barry Colts going to the standings. I'm going to force another chirp out of you. Hold on.
Okay.
So the Barry Colts, they're in 4th place right now. So let's, for conversation's sake, say the season ended today, and the playoffs are starting tomorrow. Y'all will take on the North Bay Battalion, presuming that they make it 1, 8, 2, 7, et cetera, et cetera. So what?
I said right. Yeah.
Okay. Yep. So what would put you over the Battalion? What would get the Colts to beat the Battalion in a best of 7 series?
Man, let me go look at the Battalion's roster really quick. I know that they've had a lot of moves that happened.
Which, luckily enough, I'm probably going to ask the same question to Prince of Zeus. I actually have him coming on after you, so be careful on what you say, because it's going to make an interesting show.
Yeah, I mean, their goaltending is very good. I still say that our goaltending is great. I don't know. In the beginning of the season, their defense was very intimidating. I don't think that that's necessarily the case anymore. They've lost a lot of guys to call-ups. I mean, looking at their roster, it's not very concerning. I think that it would be a very close and good series, but I think that the Colts would take it away. It wouldn't be something that I was dreading. I would like that matchup, actually. I think that we match up very well.
Oh, nice. So what do you think? You think Barry would pull out the brooms on North Bay if they end up
I'm not sure about that. Maybe Barry in 5. That's as chirpy as you're going to get from me.
Nice. All right. Well, I'll take it. But it was great to have you on. So I hope to have you on later, and we could do a more in-depth interview. But it was great having you.
Definitely. Thank you. Thank you for having me, and thank you for taking the media under your wing. It's been great the last couple of weeks. Doing a good job.
I appreciate it. Yep. Thank you.
All right. Bye.
Mm-hmm. So you heard it there from Lgchlpsn. One thing that really stood out to me in that interview is, because I am a big guy on TC training camp. I'm huge on the training camp people. Because me, myself, a couple weeks ago, I was on the TC. So if you're anybody on the TC and you're watching this show, you have to step up for your team when they need you, whether it's at goalie, defenseman, right D, right wing, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. You have to step up for that team. Don't get an attitude in the chat box. A guy on Barry Colts will get his chance because of his just the way he's sacrificing for Barry. He's going to get his shot and be on the main roster. What everybody wants. So in the meantime, I'm going to try to get Prince of Zeus on next because I'm trying to get this done. I'm going to run a little bit over. I wanted to get it done by 5, but let me try to find this guy's email. We talk a lot, so hold on. Prince of Zeus, for people who don't know, he is the owner of the North Bay Battalion, and it should be interesting after hearing what Lgchlpsn said about that series. This should be a good conversation. So I just invited him to the call. Hopefully he's around. If not, then I guess we're going to end this a little bit premature. But anyway, hopefully he answers soon because I'm really trying to get this done by 5. In the meantime, while we're waiting, I'm kind of ran out of things to talk about. That's the only problem with going in order because then it's like I feel like I've hit everything. I guess I'll open it up to the 12 viewers. Do you have any questions around the league that you want me to answer while we wait for Prince of Zeus to answer his phone call? In the meantime, that going on, I guess I'll cover pick a team. The Kingston Frontenacs. They're in 8th place right now. I noticed their God's Due to Sin. He was on the chat box earlier saying it's going to be a grind to the playoffs. He's sitting 59 points in 8th place right now. 58 points. He goes to Kitchener. They're right behind him. Niagara is sitting at 57 points, right behind Kitchener, which is right behind Kingston. So it's going to be a grind for Kingston coming down the stretch, getting into their schedule. Now they play in week 7. They open up against the Ice Dogs, which will be a great game because if they lose that game, the Ice Dogs will be tied with them for 8th place. Then they play Oshawa, which Oshawa they're kind of, I don't know. I don't really know what to make of Oshawa. I've been a really big critic of Oshawa lately because I feel like they have 0 goaltending, but they score a lot of goals. So they're a really hard team to really gauge right now. But I think Kingston can take them out. Then they play a surging Sarnia Sting team, Windsor, London, Storm, Otters, Firebirds, and the Barrie Colts in the week off. I'm going to give Prince of Zeus three more minutes to answer his phone call. See if we can get him on the show. If not, then that's about it for this week. So let me try to continue this show on for three minutes. Let me see about the news. Trade that just went through at 4:11. The Sting traded Black Pearl 117 and Kurtball 23 to the Firebirds for Dragon Skull 69 and SG Dragon Slayer. Dragon Slayer was one of those TC guys on goalie. I played with him a few. I gave him a shutout. Maybe a coincidence, or maybe the GM and owners are watching my show a little bit, But Dragon Slayer will now be switching teams to the Sarnia Sting from the Firebirds to see if he can get him a spot on the Sting's team to back up Sick in the Head, relieve some of that pressure off Sick in the Head to keep climbing Sarnia Sting up the standings. Some more news. Let's see some trades here. The Bulldogs traded Captain Nerica to the Ice Dogs for Kaols 9. I believe Kaols is a defenseman. I'm not sure. Or a forward. I'm not too sure. I'm not going to be ignorant here. But also another big trade from the Sting. They keep wheeling and dealing here. The Sting traded Justin B28 for a very solid defenseman, Dion. Dion is a great defenseman. Actually, if I'm not mistaken, he played for Rockford the other night and had a great game in the AHL. So those trades, actually that trade yep. So then the Generals have traded Never Forgotten 11 to the Sting for KJ Sniper. That already happened. So now we're getting into old trades here. So maybe some move from the leagues here. Rush Pure removed from the league. See if I can find anybody that's big. Black Frank Sinatra got removed from the Chlpsn. That must be why the Sting was looking to find a goalie. That was a huge loss for goalie for the Sting. That's huge, actually. That was a very good goaltender that got removed from the league. I looked on the chat box on LGCHL, and my boy Watery Dolphin said, "Mystic, you're saying way too much, fam." Well, there's a couple reasons behind that. I have a very bad tick. It started when I was little. Give you a backstory to this. I've always been watching sports my whole life. So when the sports guys would do interviews at halftime or after the game, they would always say and I thought it was awesome as a little kid. So I would always, this is a true story. So I would always talk like I'm getting interviewed, and when I was in the shower when I was a little kid, and I would always do that. So now that I'm older, 22 years old, I do that a lot now when I'm either getting interviewed or talking in front of a camera, So that is kind of a backstory behind and as well as I don't really have, besides the little schedule, that's really what I try to focus on this week to make the schedule go according to plan, because last week was kind of disorganized. I thought I did a really great job at keeping the show organized. But outside of that, I really don't have no information written down as far as stats or anything. I have like a general what I'm talking about written down, and then I go online, I look up, and then I have my own opinion. But I usually say or in the middle of trying to get to that stats. It's kind of like a filler. But to end the show, it doesn't appear that Prince of Zeus. I try to call him again. So I invite him again to the show. We'll see what happens. Um, Teams to look out for this week. Sarnia Sting is a team to look out for. Barry Colts is a team to look out for. The London Knights. Those are probably my top three. Oh, and I'm going to give this to the Niagara Ice Dogs. I'm going to give another team look out for the Niagara Ice Dogs. They're sitting in 10th place right now, 57 points. I noticed Apparition and all them boys are always in the chat. They're also saying, same as Kingston, it's going to be a grind to get that 8th spot. And it is true. It's going to be a grind. Will they crack under the pressure, or will they continue their climb? Looking at their schedule for the coming up week, they play Kingston to open up the week. I already said that earlier, but that's going to be a big game. I think that's honestly one of my games to watch. So that's a game to look out for. They played London, Sarnia, Colts, Otters, Battalion, General. It's going to be a tough week for Niagara. And the same like CJ87 said about the Barry Colts, it's a put up or shut up week for the Niagara Ice Dogs. Either they're going to be in playoff position going into the final week, or they're going to kind of slip off and not recover, I think, coming into that final week. But it doesn't appear that he's going to answer. So before we turn this off, does anybody have any questions for me that they want me to cover right now for the LGCHL? And I will answer the question. I know last week we had a lot of viewer questions, and I was trying to get to them, and I kind of made it out of whack. So now I put the viewer questions at the end of the show instead of at the beginning of the show and in the middle of the show and quarter of the show and last quarter of the show. So does anybody have anything for me? I'm going to open that up for a minute just to see if any questions come by. But in the meantime, I guess I'll just say thank you for tuning in, keep giving me shots to make this better. I think I've made a lot of climbs to make the show as good as the AHL. It will never be as good as the AHL's, but I think I've definitely made progress. If you've been following the show, I'm sure you can see it, that it has made great progress between, 3 weeks ago to now. Huge, huge, huge progress. And it will continue to be that way. But there's no questions, so I appreciate you tuning in. This is Mystic Mac signing off. Looking forward to another great week of LGCHL.